Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it seems like President Trump is finally delivering on one of the most important promises that got him elected. He's kicking in phase 2 of the mass deportation program. As we know, ICE is now fully funded, and the operation is kicking high gear. I believe the target is 3,000 deportations a day right now. And of course, as you could imagine, right on cue, the left is entering full-blown meltdown mode, and they're all acting as if it's all coming out of left field, as if it's a big shock and surprise. But as per usual, they're absolutely freaking full of it. Let's go ahead and tackle these Democrat lies, the latest Democrat talking points. But before we get into any of it, this video is actually brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's play that clip. This video is sponsored by Ground News. We are in the middle of an information war. I mean, it's all out digital warfare out there. We got so many different outlets and countries and people and groups all pushing different angles and spinning stories in different ways. And so in this kind of information jungle, you need to be equipped with the right tools, and that's where Ground News comes in. Hands down, the absolute best news aggregator on the internet. And honestly, if you're looking for unbiased information, the absolute most important tool that you can use right now. And really what it all boils down to is their blind spot tool here, which gives you all the stories and then shows you the stories that certain news outlets are purposely ignoring, showing you the blind spots in the media landscape. Here we have an example. It's now coming to light that the Joe Biden auto pens were likely illegitimate, but if you look at the coverage, it basically doesn't exist in left-wing circles. Well, if you want to have the full view, you need Ground News, you need the blind spot tool, and here's the pitch. By simply going to ground.news/hivemind or scanning the QR code on screen, you can go and take advantage of an exclusive offer giving you 40% off Ground News' Vantage plan. What are you waiting for? Go to groundnews.com/hivemind or scan the QR code on screen so you can protect yourself in this absolute information jungle. A huge thank you to Ground News. Now back to the video. Alright folks, so here's the clip that's causing all kinds of controversy. Well, this clip plus of course the expansion of the deportation efforts that's got the left throwing a hissy fit.
Going back to when we wrote together in October, ICE is always focused on the worst of the worst. One difference you'll see now is under this administration, we have opened up the whole aperture of the immigration portfolio, meaning that if you're here illegally and ICE goes out and arrests someone that is released from a sanctuary jurisdiction or wanted in their home country, and an ICE officer finds other individuals with them who are in the country illegally, we're going to take them as well.
And you're saying that now, if your agents encounter anyone who is here illegally, irrespective of whether or not they have a criminal record, that person will be taken into custody?
If they're here in the United States illegally, yes, they will.
The so-called collateral arrest.
Correct.
So that was Donald Trump's ICE director basically saying that, look, if you're caught up in these raids and you are an illegal migrant, regardless of whether or not you have a violent criminal past, we are going to deport you. And of course that isn't surprising. I called it months ago when there was so much blackpilling around the deportation numbers. I kept saying it's only phase 1. First step is to go after the most violent criminals who have embedded themselves in the nation, the most obvious high priority cases, and obviously those cases are going to be the hardest to tackle. It's like finding a needle in the haystack and you got to do it thousands upon thousands of times. I kept saying be patient. Eventually, phase 2 is going to kick in, where the operation widens its net. And then of course came the latest bill with massive funding for ICE, and that signaled to us that things were clearly ramping up, and so none of this is surprising. And that's because Donald Trump's immigration agenda has always been about removing all illegal immigrants, not just the violent ones. That's been the platform since day one, and that of course was the electoral mandate that he was handed following his popular vote win in 2024. Prioritizing criminals was a tactical phase, and now it's time to look a little bit further. You know, Donald Trump never said that if you mow lawns or work at a car wash that you get to stay. He did allude that he wouldn't do a full crackdown on farm workers in the hotel industry for what I believe are obvious reasons. He didn't want to tank the entire economy or decimate entire industries.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. we're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
The president has practiced a little bit of discretion, but the mandate has never changed. But now that the agenda is being implemented, oh boy, are the Democrats trying to capitalize. In other words, the Democrats are trying to lie. Yeah, this is the new Democrat outrage play, or rather, manufactured outrage play.
Trump has lied to the American people. He duped them. He hoodwinked them. He said he was going after criminals, rapists, gang members, and that's who he would be deporting. That is absolutely false. And there is now study after study that has shown that the vast majority of immigrants who have been detained in order to be deported had not only had no criminal convictions, but have not been charged with any crimes.
Dan Goldman is out here claiming that Donald Trump has hoodwinked his voters. He's done a 180, supposedly changing course. But no, Dan, you absolute buffoon. He hasn't at all. He's been crystal clear since day one. The law is the law. Slight discretion on timing or what deportations you're going to prioritize is not the same as a campaign promise broken. But it's obvious what's happening now, isn't it, right? Every week is a new Democrat talking point rhetoric experiment. What can we blow out of proportion this week? What story can we take and twist and manipulate to label Donald Trump as an extremist, as a fascist, as Hitler? And well, this is the latest talking point. And who thinks this is going to work? I mean, come on. Do Democrats really think that in 2025, they're going to manage to bring the people on their side on the issue of, again, protecting illegal migrants? And really talk about flip-flopping, talk about hoodwinking your voters after the constant promises of 2024 to secure the border and to tackle the illegal migration crisis. Here Democrats are once again dying on the dumbest hill. And speaking of dumb, I mean, Dan Goldman's comment was dumb, but if you really want to up the ante, then look no further than Los Angeles, specifically their mayor, Karen Bass, who's basically at this point the walking embodiment of soft on crime Democrat failure. Well, here she is with the latest talking point. Once again, we've got a constitutional crisis.
Tom Homan has said physical description cannot be the sole factor for reasonable suspicion, but things like location, occupation, physical appearance add up, particularly if a person runs away or if there's a tattoo or something.
Well, location, sitting at a bus stop, walking down the street, selling fruit, no, I do dispute that, absolutely. And, you know, again, the National Guard should have never been deployed in the first place. We did not ask for them. This is the federal seizure of power from a governor deploying the National Guard when the National Guard were not even needed.
She's claiming that ICE now targeting fruit vendors and car washers is, quote, unconstitutional. I mean, you could sense the irony right away. Apparently enforcing the law, the Constitution, is now unconstitutional. No, you absolute buffoon. Buffoon number two, what's unconstitutional is shielding illegal aliens from federal authorities. What's unconstitutional is obstructing law enforcement and funding sanctuary cities that blatantly defy immigration law. It's really very simple. You cannot sneak into a country, violate its laws, and then play the sympathy card when those laws finally catch up to you. You know, the left has always relied on emotional manipulation to dodge accountability, and here they are, once again, doing it again. They can't argue against Trump's actions on a legal or constitutional ground, so instead they're trying to appeal with these sob stories and out-of-context anecdotes, like Karen Bass saying this.
You know, I do have to tell you that July 4th, we just passed July 4th. You know, we had to cancel July 4th celebrations all around the city. The main celebration that takes place at Grand Park, we had to cancel it. There were families that didn't go to graduations because ICE was hovering around the schools. So I just think that it is terrible, the fact that we actually, in order to keep Angelenos safe, have to cancel traditional activities.
And notice how she refers to people as Angelenos and not Americans or American citizens. And so the Democrats, of course, are trying it again. But I think the American people are too smart for this nonsense. You know, they've heard these guilt trips before, and I don't think they're falling for them again. The people want law and order. But most importantly, they want their nation's borders enforced. And that doesn't just mean the MS-13 member. That means every illegal migrant, every person who has violated American law and illegally embedded themselves in the nation. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. And if you don't have law and order, well, what do you have? You have chaos. And the American people are done with that. And really, again, I'd like to emphasize the same point as to just exactly what the Democrats are defending here. I think Stephen Miller points it out quite clearly.
Can you imagine getting a lecture on public safety from the party that has let child rapists and murderers into this country in mass? Do you have any idea how many little girls have been raped and killed by the illegal aliens that they let into our country, that they gleefully allowed into our nation? And they want to lecture us on public safety? They have destroyed the lives of countless thousands of Americans. And today, Democrats run sanctuary cities that protect and shield illegal aliens who have committed the most heinous crimes from deportation. In every one of these cases, look at the case right here, this CBP officer. His assailant was arrested and released, arrested and released, arrested and released, because Democrat policies shield these monsters from deportation by purpose and by design. Their policies are evil. They are intentional. They are malicious. They hate this country and they want our people to suffer, and they have turned migration into a weapon. And when ICE and Border Patrol go out and conduct these raids, what do they find? Trafficked and enslaved children. They find offenders with rap sheets that go from here to the other side of the country, state after state, a trail of blood and suffering. And ICE and Border Patrol are getting these monsters out of our country, getting these predators out of our communities. Under President Trump's leadership, rates are finally falling because these people are being sent home.
That's what they're defending. You know, it's always the sob story. It's always, ooh, my poor Angelinos, the poor people who just want to work. But in their defense of these supposed victims, what they're actually doing is defending and enabling the criminals who end up victimizing American citizens. They're using the emotional sob story to run cover for some truly dangerous stuff. But anyways, this is the latest Democrat angle. And obviously, like all other dishonest Democrat angles, it's inevitably going to backfire. It's going to fail because the entire premise is bogus from the start. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.